Today has been disastrous, to put it lightly, for Microsoft and just the gaming industry as a whole, because when you see one of these big three platform holders, at least for now, we'll see how things go in 5 years or so where we are. But when you see one of these large platform holders, and really the richest company out of the three, make these sorts of cuts, I mean, why would you be that interested in getting into gaming as a career path right now when it seems like your job is just constantly up in the air no matter where you are? Well, that's sort of the day it's been so far, and I say so far because we're like halfway through, and it seems like announcements keep happening of major layoffs, game cancellation, studios just like disappearing. And in fact, there was one in particular that popped up that absolutely floored me and really just continues to reinforce this idea that Microsoft is very much so directionless with the Xbox, especially throughout this generation. I want to go over that here today. So if you guys enjoy the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. Now, there is a lot that I'm trying to get into Newswave tomorrow, and I realize, wow, it's bad when an entire section that's about layoffs happening that day starts to overtake the next section just because of how much stuff is there and how long it's running. So I wanted to quickly go over a few things here, but like one in particular was just shocking to me. So this is over on Windows Central. It's where I first started to see it reported, as Jez Corden sort of floated the idea that the initiative could actually be on the chopping block here, along with Perfect Dark. And in fact, it happened. Now, they did start out saying that Microsoft revealed broad layoffs hitting 4% of its global workforce, and across all of Microsoft, that amounts to like 8,000 to 9,000 people that are being laid off, which, am I often thinking that, wow, Microsoft, it feels like every other month recently, there's been some sort of like pack of layoffs that have been announced. It's crazy to just see how frequently they're announcing layoffs of 1,000 people, 2,000 people. It's just like constant here. They say many of those layoffs are hitting Xbox, with staffers in various departments receiving notice today. Many of those affected include Xbox Studio The Initiative, which is sadly being closed down. The Initiative, formed back in 2018, is working on Perfect Dark. And there you go. Perfect Dark, as we know it, has been canceled, which is absolute insanity to me. So the Initiative, when it was formed in 2018, Microsoft was buying a bunch of studios, but they wanted to show that they can form a studio from the ground up, right? And they can work on here Perfect Dark, which for them is a franchise dating back to the Nintendo 64 days. And while they did have Perfect Dark Zero with the Xbox 360 that didn't go over the greatest, like it wasn't the greatest game or anything, it still worked to launch the Xbox 360. So really this franchise, Perfect Dark, has some weight behind it. So it makes sense that if you want to maybe do a reboot of it even, or just a new vision or idea of it, yeah, you hand it to a studio that you are investing specifically to be like this big up-and-coming studio with a bunch of talent, and we'll give them a franchise that's well-known that they can kind of do what they want with it. It seemed like they were off and running because, man, after they showed that initial reveal, do you guys remember that? It was, I think it was during a Jeff Keighley show, his Game of the Year awards show, and they went through it. People were like, whoa, wait a minute, is this perfect? They showed the logo, and there are so many reactions of people losing their mind over it because it was so exciting, the idea that, okay, Microsoft is going to revive Perfect Dark, and it looks like they're going to put some money behind this thing. Okay, that's awesome. The Initiative coming in to do it. And then it went quiet for a while. About a year or so ago, we saw what looked to be a gameplay trailer for it, although there's questions around that now, which I'm going to hold off on that until we get additional reporting. But it sounded like there were a bunch of vertical slices that were being created that never actually connected. And what we may have saw there was a highly polished vertical slice that wasn't necessarily representative of the real gameplay that we'd see. But nonetheless, what they showed us got people excited all over again because it seemed like, all right, they're figuring things out. They're moving towards the finish line. We're going to get this game in the next couple of years. And then, of course, we wake up today and it's gone. Like, it's canceled. The Initiative shut down. 7 years of that with nothing to show for it. They also brought in Crystal Dynamics, who was working with the Initiative on Perfect Dark. No clue what's going to happen with Crystal Dynamics at this point, by the way, because of the fact that they were being kind of rented out then by Embracer Group. And I guess they got paid, I'm sure, for their time, but now they're working on Tomb Raider. We haven't seen that game yet. And at this point, based on what's happened today, yeah, I mean, we got to question all these games that we haven't seen, right? Who knows what's going on behind the scenes with how right now this industry is very trigger happy with just canceling games and laying off tons of people and shuttering studios. But this is, I mean, just a massive blow, I feel like, to Xbox's image just overall. And we've discussed them being directionless for a good chunk of this generation, but also going back to the last generation, because it feels like there are decisions being made from one side of Microsoft and then the other with gaming, right? It's like Satya Nadella all of a sudden is starting to do stuff here with gaming, but it kind of clashes with what they've said in the past their plans were with these acquisitions, and it's all over the place. It really does feel like there's a tug of war internally at Microsoft. Everwild was that was also canceled, and a chunk of Rare was laid off who was working on it. Here's the thing with Everwild. I mean, what are we supposed to say about that? At least Perfect Dark, as I mentioned, had some weight behind it because it's a known franchise that dates back to the N64. We really didn't know anything about Everwild. We saw a quick glimpse of a trailer. Didn't know what to make of it. Feels like the team behind it also didn't know what to make of it because they showed it to us before, like, they had the conceptual stage done, which sounds insane, but again, that's just Microsoft. Anyway, a few months ago, Phil Spencer said during an Xbox Era video or podcast that he's quite pleased with what he saw with Everwild. And half a year later, it's gone. So again, who knows? The other one that surprised me here is Turn 10. Apparently they have now laid off about half of that studio. Okay, so a lot of this here being about the Initiative and Perfect Dark, but that was another one that absolutely surprised me because Turn 10 is a studio that's been with Microsoft since 2001. Like, they've been there since the beginning. They worked to create Forza Motorsport, which has been running since the original Xbox. And if you look back at their history, they don't put out like a terrible game, a game that comes out and it's just junk. That really doesn't happen from Turn 10. And they have, for example, made the Forza tech and the engine behind these games, and that's what's used in like Forza Horizon and stuff. And it's weird to me that they would lay off half the studio there, which amounts to about 70 people, if they just have no plans to make another Forza simulation racing game. And that may be the case, because I'm looking at this. They named the last one just Forza Motorsport. Kind of feels like they're just going to support that as long as they can with updates, and that's just their Forza game. So now you have Turn 10, I assume, supporting that, as well as the tech and the engine behind what would then be the next Forza Horizon game, because that's just the one that sells really well for them. It has pretty much every single outing. It also does really well with reviewers. So I think that's kind of the plan there, is Turn 10, becomes the support studio, which, again, sounds crazy to me to think about that. But it's just, I said before, they feel very directionless. Everything that's happened today is not at all helping with their image. And now people are going to be questioning every single thing they show, even though there was a statement that mentioned that there's like 40 games in development, that everything that was at the June showcase is safe, which is, again, a crazy statement to have to make. All these games we showed you last month, guys, those are safe. It's like, whoa, okay. All right. So I saw people questioning Fable at this point, and I can't even really blame them. Like, I guess we got to get to where it has a release date and it's got a store page, and then we can go, okay, I think this is definitely coming out now. Who knows? Everything just feels like it's in flux constantly at Microsoft. We have no idea what their positioning is for next generation. People are wondering if there is going to be hardware, even though they announced that there is going to be new hardware. I mean, don't even get me started on Halo. You guys know where I am with that. That's been a whole fumble for Microsoft for a long time now. But let me know if you guys were as shocked about the Perfect Dark cancellation as I was, because now I'm looking at this thinking, I guess that's it for Perfect Dark. I don't know if they're going to ever do anything with it at this time. I mean, they stood up an entire studio and handed them Perfect Dark, and it seems like they just couldn't figure out what to do with it, I guess, or at least come to an agreement creatively. Maybe they have enough there where they can pull stuff out and make it into at least a multiplayer-only game. But to me, it just feels like it's going back into the hopper, and maybe in 15 years they'll attempt to revive it again if they're still doing games. I mean, that's really where we are right now. People are questioning how much longer Microsoft is going to be in gaming at all. And again, man, I can't really blame him looking at this. It's not a good day in general for Microsoft, for Xbox, or the gaming industry. But let me know what you guys think about all of this down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.